A pleasure to meet y'all at last, and welcome back to my channel once again. So today, it's March 13th, 2021, and what I got to talk about today is, well, I've got a amazing thing to pretty much showcase, because as you all know, here in February and March 2021, there's been a new series of items that have appeared on the menu, and that of course would be the trio of new crispy chicken sandwiches. Well, let's just say that I managed to pick up each and every one. Here's the original crispy, spicy, and deluxe. So, I guess it's about time that I might as well start diving down into these new items right here and lay down my point of view on the whole thing itself. Now, I'll pretty much go ahead and talk about these one at a time. So, let's just get started by going with the original first. As you can pretty much see right here, the packaging is very different than the majority of different items that you could probably see on the menu. It's probably a new innovation that McDonald's has been putting together the last few months, pretty much. So I wouldn't really pull it off as a surprise. This kind of packaging probably could have been around for a long time even. And I mostly am mentioning this because, well, look at it. Well, obviously the sandwich is in here, so let's not hold off any moments here because, well, simply put, this is it. But again, the packaging is pretty innovative. It's just layers of, well, paper combined with little metallic like foil on the inside. Very similar to how they package up chewing gum. Like the Starburst gum, the Orbits, Tridents, pretty much. You pretty much get the idea what the stick gum sort of packaging is like. It's sort of like a tinfoil based packaging blend of some sorts. I'm not ultimately familiar with it, but again, this packaging looks pretty awesome. Of course, you got yourself the decorative fonts and typographics that are plastered on here, including all this orange, the name Crispy Chicken, McDonald's logo, and even a pickle picture right here in the corner. Then of course you have the copyright date, 2021 on the side, and on the other side just a series of colored dots. Probably to represent the colors that have been used for the print that's here on the front, as well as what's on the back here, because it just says crispy on the top, and then of course, do not microwave, which sort of is justifiable given to the fact that, well, it's a metallic sort of thing, probably to reflect heat and allow for the sandwiches to remain within even a while after they had originally been cooked. So I guess that's pretty much a good thing to know. But moving on to the sandwich itself, you can pretty much see it has the combination of like the toasted brioche style bun as well as the patty itself. I mean, this certainly does appear to be much like those typical like Tyson chicken patties that you might get at the grocery store, or maybe some other brand likewise. There's also a couple pickles on here pretty much telling us that this thing is not very crazy. So, let's go on and try it. Alright. There we are, pretty much. And the taste is pretty darn good as far as I can tell. It's like really good. It's certainly much like what you could probably try and make at home, but if you're not aware, then I'll pretty much just break it up to you right away. McDonald's has its own quality when it comes to producing their own types of foods, and for this little trio here, wow, I do have to try the other two here. So of course, that pretty much takes care of the original crispy, which of course is much different than your typical McChicken, which would have the patty, the buns, mayonnaise, and lettuce. Sometimes you could add on other things in there like the tomato or pickles or sometimes other things here, but this sort of crispy chicken sandwich is a lot different in most ways. But while it's pretty darn good, I will say for sure that if there's one type of chicken sandwich that I happen to really have a lot of high hopes and standards for, then it would be a spicy crispy chicken sandwich. And as you can see, it has the same exact sort of packaging and styling on here. It's not very highly detailed like what you'd probably expect from a lot of products these days, but I'd say that the typographic, while simplistic in nature, it does do pretty good at giving us a better look at how some of their items pretty much turn out to be. But going into the packaging here, we have ourselves a similar looking chicken sandwich, but it's pretty much different in most ways. It has the same exact sort of buns that are put in here, as well as the same exact type of patty. But it's spicy because, well, check this out. This is their own sort of buffalo sauce that they blended in here. It looks a lot like nacho cheese, and in consistency, I'm betting it's also going to be like nacho cheese, but if you look closer, then, well, there's tiny little chunks of things like red pepper and probably other peppers in there as well. Probably also meant to help us find out that this is in fact spicy, and this is the real deal that we're looking for. Well, that's a juicy pickle. Oh man, here comes the spice. Oh man. I tell you what though, this one really does have some pretty subtle flavor in and of itself. It does have a much more different buffalo sauce than what you could probably typically expect from most departments, but I can't really say that it's bad because it's pretty darn good. It's good in tasting, and the kick here, wow. It's probably on par in comparison to, well, Frank's Red Hot or maybe even Tabasco. I wouldn't say that it's that spicy, because lots of people out there have had straight up sauce themselves from multiple makers, and turns out they can't really handle it too well. But you know what? I would definitely not going to hold it back right here. Consistency is just spot on. Crispiness is pretty darn good in here. And look at that white meat. I mean, if this does not seem like enough evidence to prove that McDonald's is not using these weird little things out there that most people have put out as conspiracy theories to the corporation, then simply put, I don't really know what else to say. But you know what? I only took one bite out of the original, but gone in for a second bite, because that's how much I pretty much like spicy things in general. But of course, there's still one more to go here. This is the deluxe crispy chicken sandwich. Now, out of all three of those, this one pretty much has the standard sort of box that they typically use in for other sandwiches on their menu, like the Filet-O-Fish, Grand Mac, and even the artisan grilled chicken sandwich, which is a completely separate item compared to these three. They're just new items that they put on the menu here to appease different audiences. And I'm a really big crispy chicken sandwich fan, like a chicken sandwich fan in general, whether it's crispy or rotisserie or grilled or otherwise. I really just love chicken all the way, but this sandwich right here, well, it does actually boast some of the same exact traits and aesthetics as the other two, such as this sort of bun right here, which is, again, it's like a brioche style in a way. It's also pretty toasted, looks kind of dark pretty much on this one. And the chicken patty, of course, is, well, this one is pretty plump actually. But unlike the other two, this one does not have pickles on it. It does have tomatoes, lettuce, and mayonnaise. Pretty much making it very much like the original McChicken from way back in the day. So I guess that pretty much just holds out the whole thing right here. But I gotta be honest here. I may not be, well, a fan of raw tomatoes or mayonnaise. But you know what? I've kind of been sucking it up. So let's just do it once again by keeping the tomatoes and mayonnaise in here. And because this is the deluxe after all. There's no playing around here. The grand daddy of them all right here. It's pretty much this pig guy right here. Oh, wow. Wow, that is... Now that right there is the epitome of good stuff right here. And honestly speaking, because I've had the original McChicken for a while and the artisan grilled chicken sandwiches for a while, just those two alone were enough to put really big smiles on my face. But you know what? I can say for sure that this right here is pretty darn good after all. I wouldn't say that it's quite as good as the spicy because after all, you know the reason why I went ahead and took a second bite out of that one, but I only took one bite out of this and the original, and that's mostly because, well, let's get this back up here. Now, I only had 4 bites across all 3 of these sandwiches because, well, as I've said countless times in the past 3 months or so, I've done whatever I can possibly do to keep my health in check. And of course, having lower portions is going to be a really big step into getting into that comfort zone, just so I can get ahead to that goal that I'm trying to make here. But I will say, in an honest way, that all 3 of these crispy chicken sandwiches so totally are worth the money. They're worth the investment. And across the board, I only paid a grand total of $13 for all 3 of these sandwiches. Now, that's probably not very expensive across the board, but if you do the math, then, well, it's a little more than $4 a sandwich. So, ultimately speaking, it seems that McDonald's is not necessarily trying to make their food a lot cheaper by using these weird chemicals and things like that. They're probably making their products a bit more commonly priced, a bit higher these days, simply because they want to use more natural ingredients and attempt to conform to today's civilization with the efforts to try and bring a good message to the public about good health and performance based on the many things that we consume on a daily basis. We pay good money after we get home from our jobs, after we have ourselves a good workout, and after we have ourselves a good lifestyle in our life. And I am honestly speaking that putting money towards actual good food really is worth the price, no matter what it is. If it's expensive or cheap, if it's high or low quality, if it's anything at all, then I would say I'd probably eat it. Because I have, after all, had thousands of different kinds of food in the past decade or so. But going into more familiar territory with all 3 of these sandwiches is pretty much just what you'd expect. It's average based on the looks of it, but when you get down to it, the smell, taste, sight, sound of all of it are pretty much all there, and feel really gets you up to an 11. So McDonald's Crispy Chicken Sandwich Trio for 2021 is 2 thumbs up, a big win, and overall a pretty good score from me. All 3 of those sandwiches are just on top of product quality, product taste, and, well, also potential product health. So, basically speaking, these are indeed great chicken sandwiches. But yet, I can't really be sure how long they're going to be around for. They could be around for a while, or maybe just for the rest of the month of March. But until any of that happens, I guess we'll be bound to find out what could happen next. That's it, pretty much. And that's probably all I'm going to be doing for right now. But, again, expect some new stuff related to vlogs to happen later throughout the next week or so. But if you want to see more go down to my channel, then make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.